Yep, 7:03, isn't it? That's not too bad for us.
7:03. That's like 6:50 for us. I always feel like we got our best jokes in when we have 0 viewers.
Do we start?
We're live. Yeah, we're live.
There we go.
Right on.
There we are. One lucky viewer.
Greg, where'd you get that hat?
Right. Where did I get this hat?
$5?
No.
I can't even
did they do a sale?
Wait, what is it?
It's a bowl life. It's a bowl life.
Yeah. Okay.
Bowl life.
Bowl life. Okay. No, because for Rubber Soul Live, there's a $5 rack.
Yeah,
Saturday. I saw a good $20 worth of Brooklyn Bowl merch this weekend.
I was trying to get some of that stuff, but it was like there were dramatic jumps in sizes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I just couldn't fit in any of them. All right. Well, we're live. I will not bore anyone else with my body image issues. Bruce, you're posting in the groups?
I am.
In the spots?
I am
spots
doing
you like
this.
to rock.
Yes, I am doing this, but it looks like it's a little messed up. But whatever, we're gonna throw it in El Goose, and
it's messed up
a little. But it's
what
fine.
do we do?
Whatever.
What's up with it?
It's just it's kind of like they're advertising Sugar Maple with Fred Savage on our stream. I think my this might be delayed, and I know Fred Savage.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I would act Fred Savage any day.
I thought Sugar Maple was over.
All
right, cool.
I did act as Hamlet. If you guys didn't know, I probably said that 100 times. But,
Bruce was Hamlet when he said
it bears repeating.
So Great Beyond is live again with another intro chock full of random non sequiturs. We have a very, very exciting episode today. We are going to talk about the acoustic side of bird bands, as well as we'll be joined by some very, very special guests. That's right, guests, plural. Number one, and we will clarify with him once he's on, whether it's Hachey, or whatever. But Scott from the Magic Beans just released Hachey, yeah. Just released a new album on Friday called Unzipped. Sean Scott. Okay, we'll get there. I don't keep our listeners. And joining us as well to recap a little Orebolo is our good friend Connor Marr, former resident of Greenpoint, Brooklyn, relocated to Florida. Saw his first Goose show with yours truly, and we slept at Trevor's house. But we'll dig into that. Joey, Bruce, how you guys doing?
I'm hanging in there. I'm doing good, actually. We'll go with that.
Jesus.
All right. Convince us. Yeah. Joey, how are you, man?
Oh, just wonderful. It's a good weekend. Good week last week.
Definitely.
Not much Goose. Got to see other music.
Always a pleasure.
We caught some Bowl Live, the Brooklyn Bowl, as we were discussing. That Rubber Soul Live set, Taz came out. Dude, that kid rips. Seen him 3 times in the past week and a half.
Definitely.
Oh my god.
Taz is all over the place, and plus it's I remember when he was 4 feet tall and the guitar was bigger than him.
That's what I remember too, dude. But we've been seeing him out in the jam scene since he was a little kid, and I have never seen him live one time. And he sits in what he was sitting in with the World. I think now he has his own band, right? But I've never gotten to see him live. I would love to see him.
I'm surprised you've never seen him live. Really, to be honest, he was shredding all over Fairfield County.
It just never worked out for whatever reason. But but I do hope to see him soon. I just forgot to rep my alma mater, Lackawanna
State. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Flacos. But I'm surprised you never seen Taz. I mean, he's I remember. I feel like I used to see him, shredding an A minor with Twiddle all over Fairfield County about 10 years ago. But
God knows
that's just my
God knows where I was.
Yes, it's my finely tuned ear. Okay, let's bring in our special guest, number one, Scott Hachey, no accent, from the Magic Beans. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott, welcome.
What's up, guys?
Yo,
what's up, man?
Happy to be here. It's Hachey.
It's Hachey.
Oh, right. That'll make it easy for me to remember. Like,
Well, not anymore.
No, I'm just gonna go with this simple joke there.
We're CBD guys, so
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Scott, welcome. So happy to have you on. I feel like you've been. This obviously, as a non-Goose podcast, we exist in the same atmosphere. Magic Beans have been around making dope music for a long time. So we're stoked to talk to you about some of your work, some of your experiences, your new album Unzipped, how to pronounce last names. The K in my last name silent.
Very interesting topic.
Oh wow, how embarrassing for me.
But we're so happy to have you on, and we're gonna dig into a whole bunch today. But to kick us off, we want to recap some Orebolo that happened last week. Unfortunately, the soundboards weren't available, so we're not going to get this same quality of hard-hitting journalism that Great Beyond normally provides. So we had to call in.
It's not the first time the band has let us down. I'm not going to
it's not the first time we have not known what we were talking about. So we're going to bring in field reporter Connor Marr. Hey, Connor.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me,
man. Welcome to the Great Beyond. It's the first time I think we've ever had 5 people on.
No, dude.
I think we literally did last week.
Elephant-proof band sat on a couch with us, which just because it was one feed, I think we can count them as individual people.
And
5 separate tiles.
We had Jake and Andrew last week.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Well, like I said, we don't fact check here. So let's get into this news. So last week, saw the acoustic side of Goose play a couple shows. One in New York State in a water.
It was like a shed.
It was like a shed, right, next to a waterfall or something like that, right?
Or a pond, a lake, Lake Placid.
It was a wooden structure near a body of water. The guys played a very rainy show. What is it, Lake Placid?
Yeah.
If you were at the Lake Placid shows, make some noise in the chat. It was so rainy that we assumed that the memory of the show was lost in time, swept away. And so we didn't even know what the set list was. Don't really know what went down. For all we know, the show could have not really happened. However, there was another show in Massachusetts at the Cabot Theater, Beverly. And our good friend Connor here is here to break it down with us. Connor was there. But first things first, Connor, give us a little background to you and how you found yourself to the Great Beyond on the Great Beyond.
Well, as I believe you said earlier, my first Goose show, this isn't a Goose podcast, but my first Goose show was with Mr. Greg Knight. We became dear friends while my time in Brooklyn. And he goes, you got to come. It's sold out. Yeah, no worry. I'll get you there. And I saw it was a Goosemas show, pre-Mohegan, pre-whatever that Norwalk theater. It was
Is that Kantiki?
Pre-Mohegan Goosemas.
It's one of my favorite things to tell people. It's just like, I saw these guys back when they were playing Kantiki.
Super heady, dude.
Super heady.
I got that T-shirt with the big G on it. Yeah.
Hey, well, I do. It is a nice T-shirt.
It's a great T-shirt. High thread down, yeah.
But and then my brother is good friends with some Wilton boys, so I've known of this whole band scene since the pseudo days. So I've kept my ear to the grindstone. And then first show Kantiki, second and third show Radio City, and it's been a little bit of a difference between those two. And then coming off the heat of Radio City, I'm expecting just a casual, quiet night of Orebolo, and then just proceeded to have my mind absolutely blown. It was just absolutely spectacular. I kind of wish I was at the Lake Placid set, because while it was wet and rainy, I could see those people from some of the videos that Coach is putting out that they were up and dancing. The Beverly Cabot Theater was a gracious host, but provided a very sit-down environment. And I had multiple times where I'm just like, after a song, I was like, "Yeah, let's get up, let's dance it out." No, I'll be the one. I'll sit back down. And I think Peter eventually was just like, "You know what? You guys, you can stand, and we finished out the show really strong.
They like the energy. That happened at Terrytown a little bit too. And I mean, I did get yelled at by Jeff for being abrasive in the crowd.
Well,
and
yeah,
it's
you're
not
kind of yelling. You're kind of
Yeah,
heckling
yeah,
during an acoustic show.
I mean, look, some of these mushroom products these days are incredible, but but so it's just a matter of that.
I'm pretty sure it was before the show even started too.
Yeah.
As they just
Time
came
is a
on stage,
construct.
and then he finally called you out after like 3 songs, and you were in the bathroom. So
Oh well, you hit and you miss. It's
Mushroom products. So, Scott, what are your thoughts on abrasive hecklers during acoustic sets?
They're extra great during acoustic sets. I think that's like the perfect time for it because it's like extra quiet, so everyone can hear what you're saying. Which is what you want, right?
Right.
You just want the attention.
The attention is the most important thing. To draw that from the entertainers on stage who spent thousands of hours to prepare for a performance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
with the there's like lots of live mics too, so it's really great. It gets amplified through the whole theater and
easy to pick up and ruin that soundboard.
Right? It's so good. So I recommend people that go to acoustic shows just like yell out whatever you feel. It's like a YouTube comment section.
It's coming from a musician, everybody. So see, it's I learned this from the performers. So
that's it. Bruce respects art. So okay, word. Connor, one of those things. I mean, I think it's interesting that your first show, Goose show, was at Kentucky, and then the next two were Radio City. I mean, that is pretty wild. Kind of traveling light years, light speed, warp speed. Not a space guy, but. I want to talk a little bit about the early the first show and how you ended up sleeping at Trevor's house.
Yeah, I mean, you told me I needed to be there. I took Metro North.
I had no plan for us getting back.
Wasn't like, I mean, in those days, I'm still very much a nomad. I live in Florida, and I've been in Massachusetts and New York for the past 3 weeks, and not leaving anytime soon. So yeah, and then you introduced me to all the guys and all the friends, and I believe that was a very early Getty setup light rig, and that was mind-blowing even in Cantina. And I was like, what are you guys doing? You got all this for this bar show? And then I left with a beautiful knit goose beanie that I kept sacred for years. But I mean, yeah, if you can
until you moved to Florida and had no use for it.
I had zero use. And the worst part about moving to Florida is that there's no live music down there because bands take a right when they get to Atlanta. Not their fault. It's just, gas prices. What do you expect? But thankfully I'm a teacher and I can spend my summers up north enjoying great, great music. We'll be seeing Fish next week and Partials the week after. Pumped about it.
Right on. I will just quickly shout out some of the people that we know in the music scene down in Florida that Ben's actually been lucky enough to play with, and I was lucky enough to see for a little while. Jessica Jones down there organizing groups of musicians. Got our friends in Joy Wagon. There's a lot of good bands. There are a lot of good bands down there. It's just a different scene, and you kind of get
Joy is another good band out of there. Jessica Jones has a lot of Colorado roots actually.
Does she?
Yeah, her band, when she's here, our drummer plays drums. He's been playing with her for like almost 10 years now, actually. So
very cool.
And then she went to Florida just to play a festival, and I think she like fell in love with it and just didn't leave and fell in love with the scene. They have like their own scene kind of, I guess, down there because people don't go there. They're like have that tight knit crew, that goes to all the shows and stuff. I think that's dope.
Right. But they have a pretty good crew around that Orlando, St. Petersburg area down there. And it's really interesting because we'll mention some of the Connecticut local music sites goes here also later. But, that's really interesting tangent because we always go on tangents and I think our listeners expect this. But Scott, so thinking about the Florida music scene and how in those little pockets, there's a lot of great musicians, a lot of good things going on, but it doesn't seem to expand outside of that. We talked about in the past, Denver somewhat being, or Colorado in general being a tough spot because people find a lot of success there, but then you're so much further I mean, literally,
yeah,
geographically from other things, and then so what are some of the challenges that you've found or have seen or know of, even from some of your fellow musicians out there? Because you guys, I mean, you're, I think, pretty popular. A lot of people out here know of you on the East Coast.
It is a struggle, man. It's a whole different vibe. I think the easiest and most glaring obstacle is that the closest city is probably Omaha, and that's 9 hours, and then the closest city after that is probably Chicago, and that's another 5 hours. So there's not insane. Like this, like, it's to get the dream going. It's not as easy as like borrowing your mom's minivan and doing like a Northeast run like it is up there, and you can hit Philly and all those cities. It's really like bands are struggling to like get 15 passenger vans with trailers just to like see if people like their music in Iowa, and it's like hard to get it going that way. And then I think also, we were talking about it, how it's like the East Coast scene is hard to break when you're a Colorado band. I think it's like the reverse is like East Coast bands get to come here, and then like when you get a taste of Colorado glory, it goes big, and your East Coast family is like, yes, here. And then it's like, but there's no like what's like the Red Rocks of the East Coast? Like we were kind of thinking maybe like the
Camden
Theater, Westville Bowl, the old Gale Bowl.
Yeah, like Westville for sure.
It's hard to like think of an equivalent like put your flag down moment. We've made it in the East Coast thing like it is in Colorado, and people see it as like the Mecca, but that's also makes it harder to get noticed. There's a lot of other talent, and then. And then, Denver is one of those places that because they kind of like outside feedback, and people have said this about New Orleans, where like people don't become famous in New Orleans until they leave. And then once they get famous, people in New Orleans try to like claim them again. And they're like, oh, they're from New Orleans or whatever. And I feel like Denver can be like that. We've definitely had a lot of support, but I've noticed like other bands not be able to get traction. And then they'll just like go other places. And people love them, and then people are like, "Oh, they're from Denver, though."
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that I think a lot of music fans might not realize with some of that stuff. But it is also nice that when people do go out to Denver, God, you guys do support the hell out of them. Everybody comes out for a lot of live music out there, and that's certainly helped Goose, and that certainly helped other people we know. So, that is also a great part about the community and the scene out there.
Yeah. It's like a tastemaker scene too. Once you get the Colorado stamp of approval, I feel like it's a good thing for a band,
Yeah, definitely. Oh, but Orebolo, right? Orebolo, I guess.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
Acoustic music.
Let's get this done with. Yeah.
I was watching Orebolo. I was watching the Cabot Theater show, and I liked the Radiohead "Weird Fishes" cover a lot.
Oh yeah,
spectacular. And then they even took it for a ride, which I thought was nice.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so let's dig into that a little bit. Do we have the set list in here, Joey? Okay, Joey doing work.
This means that Bruce listened to it, correct?
No. Oh no, I did not. But yeah, I was listening to the Magic Beans all day, to be honest. So Rebel had to take a back seat. So but yeah, I mean, I know these songs, so I can talk about it. That's what people want to hear.
Okay, set one. Moonrise, California Magic, and Marie's name is Lace Flame. First three. Moonrise, Wes Anderson inspired Peter song recently.
Oh, it is.
Drip
Sorry.
Field. Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, that's fine. You were there. You're the field reporter, so you tell us.
I mean, I've just been feeling that from listening to that track over and over and over again and playing with my girlfriend. And she's like, this has to be Moonrise Kingdom, right? And I've just been calling it Simon Weekend. But it's just, it's fantastic. I mean,
yes.
What a way to just start off a nice, gentle sit down Orebolo show.
It's like the musical version of a turtleneck.
So, it holds you nice and close.
Yeah, it's good. Nice, yeah.
That was one of your better ones, Greg. I like that.
Yeah, I feel like I should sign off now.
Music theory, everybody.
It's a good mode. So Marie's the name, and then one of my acoustic favorites, A Western Sun, followed by Weird Fishes, as we know, by Radiohead, and
quick shout out to the kid sitting next to me who knew it on the first couple notes. Not a big Radiohead fan, not just purely out of ignorance, but Steely did win a Grammy over them. Just Steely Dan references. Sorry, had to do it
in this episode.
I'm gonna force it in. But yeah, the kid next to me, he was just going solo to a show, and he heard those opening notes of Weird Fishes and was losing his mind. And it was a beautiful thing to say. It was a beautiful.
Yeah, it's a cool pick too. Like they had a couple of ones where like they're more you would think are like electric songs that they threw in there, and like gives it a whole different vibe. And some of these songs they made a little bluegrassy, but yeah, Weird Fishes is one that like, oh okay, like this actually sounds really nice when you kind of slow it down, give it some space, and it was cool.
Yeah. And Sky, were you a Radiohead fan? Is that why you kind of noted that it was
huge Radiohead fan? That song is like tough vocals as any Radiohead song, I feel like, and
of course,
and then also like you can't just like go in and do a Tom York like impression or whatever, and like so it's like you definitely have to do it in your own way if you're going to do it as a vocalist. So it's not. I just thought it sounded really great, and then nice little jam on the end there, and then they take it into Arrows or whatever. Was that the next song? Arrow. Yeah, sorry, Arrow. I'm still kind of a novice, but that song, that's kind of my Goose song. Is Arrow. I fucking love that song.
Did you hear how they decimated the song on the new album? No, I know. I shouldn't be saying
that's actually the version. That's actually the version that got me into the song.
Oh, really?
Outlier. Yeah.
Dude, I'm not kidding, man. And a lot of people obviously had a lot of things to say about that.
A lot of things.
And that's some things to say. But when they played those songs live at Radio City, I thought it was tremendous with the horns. And I'm not usually into a lot of people that's like, I don't often love horn sit-ins and jam shows because it's just a challenging mold to fit them with horns. And how do you do it? Do you either really hold off the gas, or do you really try to get in and almost noodle on the horn like you're a guitar player or something? But it's not always my favorite thing, but I think they did a good job with rearranging those songs for horns in a way, and they really crushed it live in a way that really kind of cemented what you were hearing more on the album, I think. But it's interesting to hear that that's the Arrow version that turned you on to it. So yeah, for all the haters.
I shouldn't say that. I saw him play it live at the Sculpture Garden Park here.
Okay.
And just remembered purely the melody and enjoying the song. And then when they released the album version, that rekindled my love for the song. And now I fuck with a live version too. Oh, sorry, no F words. What do we do?
No, we don't. Absolutely. Everything pretty much goes,
Yeah, we're all good.
So I fuck with a live. I fuck with a live Arrow now, but I think the studio version's cool. I think it's definitely one of the more out of the jam sounding songs on the record. So it's like, I feel like I could show that to friends that aren't into jam music, and it's a great like bridge for them into the music. The drums sound cool. I don't know.
Yeah, Stuart Bogey too on the horns. Like he wrote some great licks for that song.
Yeah,
which like we got to see, or at least I got to see him live for the first time at Peach, and I was like, okay, yeah, this. Radio City too, but let's call that a sit-in. Right. But yeah, his Peach set with Joe Russo, that was an incredible band, man.
Oh. Awesome. So anyway, Orebolo, Greg.
Right. Yeah, we'll just we'll talk about it. Followed up by
I think Arrow was my first tier of the night.
Really?
I had multiple tears throughout the night. I'm just an emotional being. What can I say? But the end of Arrow just got me. Got me so good.
In my episode with Jess and Mike Dubois, we just basically talked about her crying. So it was a whole episode. So no, we're down.
They're just listening to the YouTube, like a Western Sun. I was trying to fight back tears.
Oh yeah,
that like just the three of them.
I think Western primed me. Arrow got me. And then Silver Rising. I'm just like,
werewolves.
Save the wolves.
Okay. Anyway.
The act process.
Yeah, so I mean, but I think it's important to mention following Arrow. Speaking of Tears, Mad World, originally by Tears. Well, no, Creatures, then Mad World, originally by Tears for Fears, then resurrected by Gary Jules in 2001, and a weird Gears of War commercial. I remember downloading that on Napster. Doesn't really matter. You remember that? You remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
Shit out of Gears of War, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's cool. That game is dope.
Yeah.
What's Napster? That was a joke, everybody.
Nah, we
That's
don't like
just-
ages.
Joey's more of a
making ageist
Kazaa guy.
jokes.
Yeah, brought to you by
Chuckles.
LimeWire crew.
Yeah.
Kazaa gang. Fair
Quickly
share.
before we get to the second set, I just want to highlight Dim Lights because I don't know who sings that song. Is that an Elvis tune or what? Or is that a
I think it's
Goose
a
tune?
Rick.
an original.
It's a Rick song.
Rick-
Yeah.
It's a Rick
Yeah.
song.
Okay, so that was the set break talk. Everyone outside smoking whatever they're smoking, CBD, I'm sure.
Sunset Lake CBD, 15% off with the
20%.
CBD
20%.
flour when roast is harsh.
Yeah.
But,
Promo code Beyond.
we need this money. We need this advertising money. I mean,
Sorry, guys.
Hey, that's why I'm throwing up these alley-oops, guys. But seriously, I mean, is 3 or 4 different people that I have not ever spoken to in my life came up to me and were just like, what was that song in that little spot? And then I ended up asking Coach and them afterwards, and that was Cry Count 2, I think.
Okay, Cry Count 2. Okay, and Jess is in the chat actually tallying these. So
Yeah.
perfect.
I think they
All right,
debuted it at Tarrytown, which I think it was a little different too at Tarrytown. Like it was a little more sped up, if I'm remembering correctly. So maybe the fact that they slowed it down, it's a tearjerker now.
Sure is. So after a quick set break, sponsored by Kleenex, into
Also Tennessee Jed, we forgot that, but yeah, okay.
Tennessee Ted.
That's
right,
it.
Tennessee Ted.
Tennessee Ted.
Everyone ignored it because
Tennessee
Dim Lights is
Jeb.
so beautiful. So set 2 start out with the epic trio of Born, Hunger Site, Dripfield, all acoustic.
Yeah,
Connor.
Connor.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Tears.
Tears 3 and 4. I don't want to be the guy who just falls in love with the first song on the new studio album, but gosh, is Born just so perfect. I mean, I must have listened to it 6 times today, and then you add in the emotional connection now to the Radio City of Hunger Site and Dripfield, plus just saying wow, 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 like every 5 seconds because I can't get it out of my head. And then you just get here, just take all 3. Sure, why not? And
Right.
it's just,
You had 2 cries in that 1 3-song section. That is the most telling thing. So
as a fan, I saw it I was just thankful because I was like, listen, I've been listening to this studio album nonstop. So, and I think we got 6 or 7 songs from that album just in this one night. And I was just like, fine by me. This is all I've been listening to. So keep it coming.
it's interesting with a lot of the feedback on this album, though, too, which is why I like to kind of keep going back to it, because I always liked Born when they released it. A lot of people did not, too. And then once they started playing it at a live setting, it, really kind of caught on a little bit more. And once they started throwing in the 2001 jam, that was also good. But, that also helps. But
I noticed on the YouTube, there's a stream on YouTube for anyone who doesn't know, if you want to watch the set. The crowd erupted during that big solo in Hunger Site, which is kind of weird because normally electric it screams, but it's kind of this faint high note on the acoustic that still everyone's gonna know that's the moment where who just came in and ripped.
And speaking of that comment that Greg just put up from our boy Willie here, this is something that we're going to talk to Scott about too once we get through this Orebolo set, but with your new album. But those 3 songs really are a very cohesive unit of songs, and the album in general is relatively cohesive, but there are some outliers. And that was more or less what I was expecting. Is it for all of it to kind of flow through that vein, and of course it doesn't quite, but that's kind of the stuff that I always expect out of an album, and those 3 songs really do come together so nicely. Very nice.
You know what? Quick aside, I love tangents.
That's all we do.
Robbie Lewis. Yeah, this is why it's actually a show-long recap. So Robbie Lewis saw you guys at Paradise. I happened to talk to Matt Kalinsky, good friend of the podcast, today, and he let me know that Paradise was absolutely lit. Tell us, Scott.
About Paradise?
Oh,
Yes.
I mean, it's cool. I'm all about the block party vibe. I think it's super cool. They basically just set up right downtown Covington. So there's like, you're flanked, by these cool old buildings in Covington that they have. And then, and it's free. So anyone can come down.
Oh.
I think you get, obviously the guys who put it on, Essential Productions, they are most known for Resonance Music Festival, as well as some other events. And they own a lot of the venues there in Covington and Cincinnati. So they have their own crew of jam heads and EDM crew that comes out for the show. But then there's also just like the walk up factor, which I love. I just love playing for people that have no idea what jam music is. I think it's awesome. I think I think you could like either like scare them away or like literally turn someone on to like their new favorite thing ever. So that's cool.
Can you spot them from the crowd? Do you think like, oh, that person's never.
They're just like, what is going on?
It's usually I just made a face if you're just listening, but usually staring, getting their face melted, or they're wearing like a bright blue blouse with like a little like where I'm
some
just
sun
like,
hat.
You stand out in this crowd. But
You're just shopping at a boutique, and then
I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
It's like a Delic rock in the face. But it is funny. And speaking about, we've been speaking about music scenes. We've talked about the Connecticut music scene a lot, of course, here. And we were talking about Florida. We're talking about Denver, but Covington also has a great music scene. A lot of music lovers, like you mentioned, and it's a really cool. It's a really fun place to go and see that. Oh yeah, it's also been instrumental for our friends at Goose and a lot of other musicians even from around here too, as they try to branch out.
Yeah, love Covington. Absolutely love Covington. It rivals Scranton in being entirely brick colored.
I will say shout out to the people of Cincinnati. I had someone point out that like all the events, because Madison Live, the venue, and a lot of their other stuff always happen in Covington. They're right across the river from each other. Right. Someone made a point to tell me like, well, it's mostly Cincinnati people here, and then they say Covington, thank you for coming out, and they say this, and it's actually Cincinnati. I just want to like put that out there. Okay. So they don't.
Well, people from Ohio need whatever they could get, So it's
not rude though. Like, let's take from Kentucky.
Who's clearly just
some of their parts thing.
Abundant in fans.
All right, we're gonna finish breaking down this Orebolo show. Okay, after the Dripfield triptych. We got U.S. Blues, Grateful Dead's musical testament to the Patriot Act, fan favorite around the 4th of July, and then Silver Rising
for the Werewolves.
Waterworks.
Yeah.
And after that, Arise, new joint. What do you think about Arise, Connor?
I mean, I was, as I previously stated, was in a very emotional spot. And it was a nice second set, just Arise, if you will. I hate to do it, but yeah, it lifted me right back up into it. And I think that may have even been the one that Peter was just like, you guys can stand up and boogie with us for a little bit if you'd like. And it was a blast.
Nice.
Yeah, waiting for the soundboard to come out.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good analysis. It's better than what we come up with most of the time. So that was
generally
really
we speculate.
And it was perfect timing for Madhavan to be the next song because that's the one everyone's going to get up. Like it sounded like the loudest from the crowd singing. At least it was people singing along to Madhavan.
I mean, easily one of their biggest hits. Obviously, between
one of their
Hachey,
greatest
Arcadia,
hits.
and Madhavan, there have always been the ones that people really catch on to, or people, that would change people's minds a little bit. So because they're poppy, good lyrics, man, good energy to those songs. So Madhavan, that's why they play it all the time.
I never knew some like Sanskrit excerpts would get the people going the way it does, but hey, so it goes.
Little known fact, I did try to teach myself Sanskrit for 6 months and then quit that hobby.
You Sanskrit.
You're a man of education.
I was just high. Yeah, I was just high. Here's a new language I can learn. But yeah.
Can we put that in the trailer?
This is why
Yes.
I'm a podcast.
Great Beyond podcast. I was just high.
Yeah, well, that's really how I got roped into this. But yeah. Anyway,
And finally, Ship of Fools. Ship of Fools.
Done. We did it.
Close it out.
Wrap. That's a wrap.
All right, Scott.
I love Ship of Fools. Great cover.
Classic song.
Classic.
Well, I love Ship
Classic.
of Fools is really, if we're going to talk about this Rebel show, but that's my favorite. Like they did that as a Rebel or their little 3Ps. And we mentioned the pandemic before on some of those pandemic streams, or I did also hear some cool Magic Beans on one of those too during that year. But yeah, that was the first time they played it, I think, ever. I don't think they ever played it as Vasudo or Goose. And then I love that song, and I would love to hear that a little more from them. I got to go to some of these acoustic shows and not talk over the show. So we're gonna do that one of these days. Yeah,
They'll lift their restraint soon enough.
Yeah, if Jeff allows me in.
So Connor, one other thing I just want to touch on is that we met. We went to Goose Show together, but I think we united over our love of Ripe. And now Robbie Wolfson, good friend of the podcast. That's pretty cool. But I just want to acknowledge that sometimes if you're in a place you don't know anyone, but you like the same bands, then you're never actually strangers. Connor and I was at 456 at the restaurant, and we had a very long chat about the best tracks on Joy in the Wild Unknown.
So good.
Connor went on to lead a movement of folks wearing green headbands in droves at shows.
Nice. All from a candlelit dinner.
All from a candlelit dinner and some hearty lasagna.
Just quickly,
Very
Greg was
romantic.
introduced to me as a guy who had an extra Hampton Fish ticket, and
Oh, so that's why you lulled him into the dinner. Yeah, so I get it.
so he's still in my phone as just Fish, and has never changed that. And then it was also one of the greatest Fish shows I've ever been to. But yeah, I mean, exactly as you're saying, like live music and even just music in general brings people together, and you're truly never alone if you can enjoy the same music as someone else. And oh, it's so good. I was at a festival this past weekend, shout out Levitate, and it's just so good to be fully back and just be, I think during all that, I remember telling my girlfriend, I was like, I just want to be in a sea of people that I don't know, all enjoying same music.
Yeah.
So
we were saying that to each other at Peach too. Like Greg, Joey, and I just being back at a big festival.
Note. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, on the t-shirt note, it's been harder. Like when or on the similar band note where you used to see someone with a t-shirt of a band, and you'll be like, oh, a new friend in a strange familiar place. Now that the Grateful Dead sells at Target, I'll go up to people and I'll be like, hey, what's up? You like the Dead, bro? And they're like, no.
What are you talking about?
And I'm like, oh, sorry.
The Bears. What?
Like a false flag.
U.S. Blues, Ship of Fools. What are
asking this
but they're also
toddler.
not listening to this podcast either. So.
This toddler in a Dead shirt, come on, man. What do you think about New Speedway Boogie? Okay. So we're going to take a deep breath and refocus here. Connor, thank you so much for joining us today and being our field correspondent. Hopefully next time Goose is in Florida, we won't have to go down and you can just report for us. But we love you. Miss you dearly.
Love you.
And it's
thank you so much. It's been
Thanks
great.
for coming on, Connor. We appreciate it.
I'll have 6
sure.
lasagnas today in your honor.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started.
Right.
Later, brother.
Later, man.
Here we go.
Now we
Thank
can
you,
pivot a
Connor,
little
for
bit.
joining. Yeah,
that
let's
was
do it.
very helpful given that
Everybody pivot.
I didn't even listen to what was available to listen to. So
We should
Thanks,
give a shout out to who posted the video. Beats and Streams, the name of the YouTube channel. So hey, thank you for saving our podcast.
Thanks,
Great
streams.
quality.
and really,
we'd be
still
talking
these
out
days-
our ass.
Still these days, we should always throw out a little thanks to Tapers, who helped, kind of feed my love for live music as a little kid. And and now it's just grown into a much bigger thing. Everybody's putting out soundboards now, but still a lot of dedicated tapers out there. So shout out to them as well. And then everybody that always tries to stream from the shows. That's always super helpful, you know, when they don't have anything available. So yeah, we get a lot of help from the podcast from the community. So we love that.
Hell yeah, Bruce.
You know, dude, you're not the only one who could be positive on this podcast. You know,
I'm
you guys
shocked.
try to throw me off
Sweet.
for not being positive.
Shocked,
And this is well, it's, you know, I'm high a little bit, and the CBD. So it's just, I don't know what's happening.
These mushroom products,
day.
it's like either like yeah, either smiling and, you know, cheerful or heckling. So let's dig in. Let's dig into this new Magic Beans work. Unzipped. Instrumental EP, all instrumental from a very dynamic band that certainly sing. But it was a completely new direction for the Magic Beans. Just Scott, tell us a little bit about inspirations for the project. Maybe show us what the vinyl looks like, and just tell us how it all came together.
Yeah, Unzipped, man. It's just like, oh god, it was
that was
fun.
for us.
It was honestly just like a chance for us to just flex some other muscles and interests that we had. We kind of saw it as like a departure and like an alter ego for the band for a minute. I feel like as a musician, here's the vinyl.
Nice.
Yeah, it is awesome artwork.
Yeah. So let's start with the artwork. It's made by our tour manager and merch guy, Austin Kuntz. He's also a graphic artist, but this is all analog collage work. So he does this all in a studio with actual clippings. He has like huge piles, thousands of magazines that he takes clippings from. And then this is an actual zipper. And then he takes photos of it. So it's kind of old school art.
Wow.
And then he did the back as well.
That's badass, dude.
Yeah, so that's really unique about it. And we actually took this photo in his house too.
Nice.
Nice.
It's cool to keep
using
it
the
in-house.
tour manager for a lot. I like that.
Yeah, well, we like to keep it in house, man. We're all like,
dude,
we kind of see the Beans as like a little artist collective. We really we source locally and within the group for a lot of like our own stuff, and that's part of the vibe. You know, it's like I there's a lot of graphic artists I really love and illustrators that we've used before, but who knows more about you and your band than someone who's on the road living that experience with you on a day-to-day basis. So it's cool. Sure. That's like, I'm really proud of that aspect. Austin's a really cool guy, really special guy. I know anyone that's ever met him on the road, he's just an easy guy to get along with. He actually will do come join us on stage too. We use him for a lot. We really put him to work.
I love that. Yeah, I love it.
He comes up and he does his alter ego. It's called Youth Large, which is like his rapping alter ego. Because he'd be slanging merch, Youth Large.
Nice.
So he'll do like Outcast. We just did What's the Difference from like the seminal Dr. Dre album 2001.
Sure, you talk a good one, but you don't know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Put me in, man. Come on.
I'm telling you, next Bean show, you're coming up.
I'm ready.
Yes. I'm
ready.
Hey, Greg's got 3 verses, so I'm just excited to hear which one it is. You know,
yeah, it's fine. It's actually like 6 because I can mix them up half and half. Yeah, so it's cool.
Like
They'll write something new. Who knows?
Great.
Come on, Bruce.
I know.
Come on,
I forgot about the mix and match. I forgot that's it's like factorial. You know, 3 factorial or whatever. So yeah, I get it.
Factorial fiction. So unzipped, like artwork. Flames. But let's talk about what's right. Let's talk about what's on wax though.
The music is like our tribute to like Beats. It's our tribute to like Soul Aquarians. You guys are familiar with that era of like 90s music? Yeah. It's like D'Angelo and like Jay Dilla and like the Roots and like there's a lot of great like underground lo-fi music happening in that time. There's obviously a new instrumental lo-fi kind of resurgence happening with Khruangbin, I feel like kind of was like the big seminal band for that. And then now there's like lots of that type of music coming out. We just love it. We love how it just like sets a vibe. Like sometimes you'll be like chilling and then all of a sudden like the song setting a vibe and then some guy like comes in, he's like, hey, yeah, and he starts singing at you and you're like, you know, like I was good without the lyrics. I thought that was fine. Or like some moments call for that, like some parties or some just like moments, lo-fi beats to study to, whatever you want to call it. So
right, yeah, that's up on YouTube.
We just love it. So it's kind of our tribute to that sort of music, and just trying something different. You know, when you're a band, you like have a sound, and I feel as though you keep hammering on it like a blacksmith and like honing that sound and maturing it with each album release. You know, Goose is a great example of that. You know, you go back to some of their early tracks compared to Dripfield, it's so different. Some people can't even process it yet, but they will, and they're gonna love it, and they're gonna, you know, that's the thing with new stuff. But it was also cool to like put that on hold for a second and be like, all right, as opposed to trying to like build this Bean sound, what if we just started from scratch and sound like what if we were just the same 4 players but a completely different band in a completely different scene? So just fun to do. We like making music, so that was a big influence of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, go on.
We can let Joey talk. He prepared a
lot.
I want to hear what Joey has to say.
Just this once.
Oh, may I? No, like when I first listened to the album, first of all, you mentioned that you're like kind of paying tribute to those like YouTube mixes of like lo-fi stuff to study to. Like I listened to it at work, and the album I feel like went by so quickly, and all of a sudden Here On Out came on. I was like, wait a minute, like am I on like Artist Shuffle or something? And like I just blown through the whole album, like however long what is it, like 45 minutes or so, hour or so, like had just blown by. And like you know, it's a good amount of songs on there. And like to me, and I think Bruce, you mentioned this, like the songs kind of fit so well where they go into each other. And like there are breaks and there are transitions where you could clearly tell if you're looking at it, like, oh, this is a different song. But if you're just listening, I feel like the whole album kind of just like flows as one piece of art. So it's cool to hear you talk about that. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going crazy. That's like the intents behind it.
It totally is, man. And it's like it's not meant to grab your attention. I don't think like if I were to be like telling someone what the Magic Beans is all about, I don't think I would start with Unzipped, but one thing we realized during the pandemic is like there's no like limit to like what we can do as a band and choose to do. I mean, I think bands put up walls and like this like follow the course of the band before you sort of thing, and like you can like we can do anything. We're not really writing music for like the radio. Like we have our fans that like our music, and they're waiting. You know, I can put up a song and like 10,000 people are going to listen to it in a week, and that we were just like, that's literally crazy, and this is the dream. So we're just going to keep churning out stuff. So Unzipped is kind of like even just the first example of that. Like our next record's going to be all acoustic based, and it's going to be really song oriented, 3-4 minutes, bluegrass Americana, singer songwriter based music. And then the record after that's going to be like pumping funk with like house and techno music kind of in the background. And like we're just kind of, the Beans have always done that, and we've kind of like tried to do it on one album, and now we're just like, we're just gonna fucking fire them off, dude. We're kind of like inspired by King Gizzard in that way, and Corey Wong. He had like a prolific year recently where he did like 4 or 5 records in a year. And we have like 4 songwriters, you know, and like Greg was saying, we all sing, and like we have no shortage of like content and like musical content. There's always like new songs to play, so we're kind of the only thing holding us back from like releasing those songs is like doing the work. So we're just like, let's just do it and not worry about album cycles and all that stuff, and just put out art, and I think eventually just like it sticks with people. And
well, especially if it's all different too. Yeah,
and I absolutely love this album. It like definitely stuck with me. And I mean, I'm also a big fan of the lo-fi stuff these days, you know, and it's perfect for work. And that's exactly what Joey was saying. It just flew by. But like on that vein, I was going to ask, in terms of how this album came together, because it does flow so cohesively. Was it something that you guys had these songs written, and obviously you're talking about some already a couple upcoming albums? Do you already have a lot of these songs written, and it's just about getting into the studio to hash them out with each other and kind of develop them and get them recorded? And then for like this album, was it all like kind of a one piece that you guys cut up, or did you have these tracks kind of identified already?
Yeah. Crazy enough, that's actually a huge part of the record that I didn't even kind of mention is most of these songs were kind of composed, rehearsed, and recorded in the same day or in like a 2-day studio session. So like
Oh wow.
almost none of it was composed in advance. We I think Stank Eye, and there are a couple like chord progressions is basically like, starting points where it's like maybe jams we've done where I was like, man, we found this chord progression naturally. Let's try to like hone it in. We sit in the studio, we hammer it out, we rehearse it 4 times, then we press record, we play it 4 times. There was very minimal overdubbing and stuff. It's pretty much just one take. And then like overdubbing was like adding layers as opposed to redoing solos and stuff. There's really no solos on the records.
So
anyway.
it's really practically a live album. I mean, minus you did
Yep.
a few recordings, but it's pretty much
yeah.
a live
And
album.
we kind of thought it was like almost, it's like a departure from the jam band scene, but it also is like a tribute to the jam band scene where it was like very similar, like a studio approach to jamming. I mean, we went in there. It was almost like if you were like jamming at a show and then all of a sudden you're like, but no one's there. And I could stop the band and be like, guys, what if like you use this different sound on the keyboards and then I want more of a hook from you. And you kind of got just to hone it in a little bit. And then like you like froze time and then went back into the jam and everyone got to hear, like you just hashed it out a little bit. It's still jamming. Like, you know what I mean? But like just a little
absolutely.
extra like sleight of hand here and a little extra of like effort or whatever, or just time, and then you got your finished product, and that way it also has that natural vibe that isn't overproduced or anything like that.
Which the production sounded great, honestly. But like you said, it did feel very natural. It did have that kind of organic flow. I think that contributes to how easy it was to listen to and how kind of it went by in a flash. Sort of that feeling comes from that.
Thanks, man.
It really reminds me of, and you reminded me like the point about how this is kind of a tribute to the jam scene, like that Circles Around the Sun album they did with Neil Casal, like that tribute to like Grateful Dead jams that were like a little off. That came into my head when I was coming or like listening to the album too. So I don't know, it's just
Circles was a huge inspiration for the record. They nailed the instrumental vibe. That's like one of my go-tos when I want to just like pass time, man. Like you said, it flows through the record, but like not in a bad way, almost where if like you want to kill some time, it helps that happen, whereas I feel like songs with lyrics can almost like, they're so jarring when they change songs that like you're like, oh, 4 minutes just went past, and it's like almost telling you how much time is passing as opposed to just like letting you coast through life. And
exactly.
Be distracted by music, which is music is a great distractor. I don't think there's any like disrespect to a song to say that it like distracted me and like I wasn't even fully listening, maybe, because you really are subconsciously listening to that music and it's helping you find that flow that you need for studying. That's why people fell in love with lo-fi beats to study to and all that stuff. And I think that's why that music in general is having a moment right now, because there's so many people working from home, working in offices, working on computers that need to have the time go and aren't interacting as much. So it's nice to have music.
But it's tough. It is tough to not get to. You still got to get those catchy hooks, though. You guys really had some catchy hooks on that. It can't just be monotonous or too boring. In that sense.
That was one of our conversations is like, there better be a melody, because if there's no melody, it's really just nothing happening at all. So yeah, each section had to have a hook, and that was fun, man. And just like, it's cool to see what the guys got in them, when you have to hammer it out. I mean, I think there's a lot of, when we write records, and I think most bands, like people come in with the song almost all the way done, a demo. Lots of these guys like Peter and us are multi-instrumentalists, so they may have even like played the bass part, keys part, and guitar part for you. So there's like not a lot of interpretation. So the band's like, all right, well, my part's done. I just basically play on it, where this wasn't even very collaborative. And there's nothing wrong with that. And bands bring songs to life in a way that you could have never done yourself. So there's all that magic happening. But it is cool to just sit in a room, not have anything, and then be like pulling at each other and seeing like, well, what do you hear? Because like everyone could hear like a different hook over a chord progression. Here you got this groove, and I'm like, I hear like, and then Duffy's like, whoa, I heard like whole notes, like when, and I'm like, and it's just crazy, just hearing people's different musical vocabulary. These people, like brothers, and then all of a sudden, like you're tracking, and the song's it's fucking there, and it's done.
It was very cool.
I have important development in the world of lo-fi music, and that is that yesterday, YouTube took down Lo-Fi Hip Hop Girl, and apparently there was a whole lot of controversy around this.
Well, they brought it back, didn't they?
Yeah, so they brought it back.
Okay.
But I guess
Let him do his arc. He has a story.
I'm so
arc.
sorry. Yeah, spoiler. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go get a glass of water.
I'm the one
I'll
who's
be
supposed
back.
to be talking over everybody in this podcast.
Yeah. The middle of the story actually doesn't matter now. But no, it's they were subject to like these abusive YouTube copyright claims. And so, I guess these like false claims were filed in Malaysia, and YouTube, which I just imagine that most of this is automated, right? So like YouTube took it down due to a bunch of false copyright claims. However, Lo-Fi Hip Hop Girl will be back within the next 24 to 48 hours. So unfortunately,
thank God.
If anyone had a test today, they probably failed. The world's productivity took a dip, but she will return. So
I'd love to see the analytics on that. Just like America has the worst quarter ever because like lo-fi beats to study to drops off and like people don't know.
Productivity falls off a cliff. Recession happens immediately. Yeah.
We're gonna see ripple effects for this. Gas prices are gonna be $10 like in 2 weeks or something like that. Oh God. So that was one thing. Just wanted to squeeze that update in. If you're waiting for Lo-Fi Hip Hop Girl to come back, she will be back soon.
In the meantime, listen to Magic Beans.
In the meantime, listen to Magic Beans. There it is on rotation. Joe, you're back.
Back.
So there's that. That was the one really groundbreaking thing I had to say. But there was also something else. I just, now I'm like,
well, this is excellent. This is more an opportunity for Bruce to speak. Which
go ahead.
But so another question about the album I had was, it was funny because I'm listening to so Windwalker. First of all, I love that song. Probably my favorite song off the album, even though there's a bunch of cuts that I really like. But that Staycation and Catterday were funny because I kind of was listening to Staycation. I came back to it and looked at the name and was like, damn, this puts off that vibe so perfectly. I was actually doing chores in the house and I was like, this is perfect. And then I was listening to Catterday and I was like, what's this? And I looked at the Catterday and I was like, somehow this does remind me of cats, and I don't know how, but I was
the
like,
synth. The synth is like meow.
Yeah, maybe.
Meow.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. I was like, this is insane. But so it did get me to think, because I think naming songs is always an interesting thing. And I remember I first heard Goose had this album Dripfield, and I don't think I knew what the word. I don't think I knew it was Dripfield for a long time. I just listened to people say it, and I was like, I have no idea what they're saying. But so it's hard to name songs, I think, sometimes. And 90s kid kind of gave me a little bit as a 90s kid with that feeling, and I just was wondering, like, what was the process? Because we talked about the recording process, but what's the process like for you guys when you're actually trying to think up names for these songs?
Yeah. Well, I think for our normal songs, we're really traditionalists. We don't do the jam band song where you name it like Twizzle Sticks, and then it doesn't. That's not in the song at all. So there's no way to, like, no. Like we're usually like whatever we repeat in the chorus, like we'll like name the song. We don't try to trick anyone in that way.
Okay,
But when it comes to like the instrumentals, I think that's the funnest thing about instrumentals is you can literally name them anything. And I'm always jealous of instrumental bands that get to just like name their songs whatever. And like, so I think some of them we like Windwalker just kind of sounded like Avatar wind bending, maybe like maybe it has like a Navajo sort of New Mexico vibe, wind walking, I don't know. And then
I could see that, yeah.
90s kid just sounded like a Hey Arnold theme song sort of thing, like it would just be the theme song on like a Nickelodeon show in the 90s.
Oh my god, yeah.
So it opens it up to just like have fun. Verity Mart is like a tribute to our favorite bodega in the French Quarter of New Orleans. It's like it's open all night, and like we've been there and you see the craziest stuff, like this guy in like a whole leather horse gimp outfit, and then his girlfriend has like he's like biting into like the whatever leather horse thing, and she's got the leash, and they're like wandering around getting like Gatorades and like sandwiches from this bodega, and it's just like it's our favorite place. So
New Orleans.
Yeah, you can kind of just like do homages to things and like dig out of like the inside joke bucket a little bit more than when you're writing a song where you want people to know what the song is.
Right. You know, Champion fans are easily tricked. I try to trick them all the time on the podcast with false information. So it's and it works. So yeah.
I feel like it's like in Humphreys, like, man, I've been seeing that band since 2006. And I'm not gonna date myself, but that's a long time.
Oh, I mean, Bruce has been seeing them since the 80s.
Oh, well, since 04.
Oh, really?
Not anybody's counting. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I was always, again, going back to some of these local music scene conversations we've had today, like they kind of always came out east from somewhere that, again, I wouldn't have thought had much of a music scene, but we have a lot of friends that are big music fans from the Midwest there and from the Michigan area and stuff like that, in Indianapolis down through, like we talked about, Cincinnati and Covington. There's a great music scene out there in the Midwest, and those guys would come out east. I'd heard about them in high school, and again, shout out to Tapers and getting a lot of music through trades on CDs and stuff, and they would come out here a lot. So I was lucky enough to be able to like get to see them, fairly locally, because they'd always try to hit New York, and of course, Nokia Theater, or PlayStation, or Best Buy, and it's no longer around. But they would also come to Connecticut too. A lot. They've even played in Bridgeport at this Klein Auditorium. So strange stuff like that.
They're one of those bands that, like, I think a lot of bands like have a huge fan base, but they like, people travel a lot, so they're able to like bring people to different cities, and that's how they're able to like sell out venues in multiple cities. I feel like Humphreys did so much legwork. Like, they were doing 250 shows a year that when they go to like Knoxville or like random kind of off the beaten path towns, like they literally have fans there. Like, it's not like people from Nashville driving to go. There are those people, but like, they put in so much, like they have like fans in every town, and they would go to Connecticut and they do those towns that people don't always think of. And I think that's really speaks to them. And it's a very Midwest thing too, to be about the underdog. So, they're all about playing Iowa still. They don't care if it's like a soft show,
right?
Like, crushed Iowa. Let's do
some I think some Notre Dame guys, Rudy, that whole thing. But
Rudy,
we can't get into sports here on this podcast. I try.
Not a sports podcast or
Lackawanna College Falcons.
Let's go Falcons. That's right. It's the only team we talk about here.
Scott, we'll explain the joke after.
We'll explain this. The Squirmin' Vermin. So, okay. So I think Unzipped, as a package, is pretty incredible. But I want to talk, just touch back on what you mentioned about future projects, and kind of doing, an Americana, Orebolo influence project, and then
Bruce can yell in the middle of it and heckle.
Yeah, Bruce can heckle you when you tour those. And then whatever's coming next. And I'm wondering, like, do you find that your songwriting is more fruitful when you kind of fully immerse yourself in a style, or is it easier to kind of bounce back and forth and paint with broad strokes?
For me, it's definitely easier to play all sides. I think I enjoy. We're such an eclectic band. Like we don't have one style of music we listen to. Like I'm listening to Jason Isbell. I don't know if you guys listen Chris Stapleton, stuff like that. And then I like DJ deep house music, like Boris Brejcha and I like it all, man. So it's really hard for me to like hone in my songwriting. I've been a songwriter a really long time. That was what I started doing on guitar before I learned to like solo and do all that stuff. I really just like to write songs. I would write, 3-chord songs, and that's just always been my ethos with music, is as like I always see myself as more like an artist songwriter than an actual musician sometimes. Like some people, like I just really think of music of songs and melody, and that's just how I approach it more than of like raging, but I do like to rage as well. So I don't know, man. I think it's like we just do whatever, and then like I said, I'll come to the group and I'll be like, all right, I wrote this song. It's like got like 808 drums on it and like all this like crazy synths, and then I wrote this like 3-chord song. It's about my mom. And then it'll be like try to like put it on the same record, and that's the Bean sound. I mean, that's been, if you listen to records, we're all over the spot and stuff. And I think now it's just, we're gonna try to do that, but like try to put things in a corral so when people go to the record, they can get like all that in the record, so they know like, oh, this is kind of the acoustic vibe. I'm gonna put this on when we're doing Thanksgiving, you know what I mean, or something. And I know it won't all of a sudden go to like or something like that, or like some funky song. So like I can play it. So like that's literally the inspiration for that, is just trying to like corral things into their little area, not do it all at once.
Yeah. And it's cool because I think that art has been lost in the past couple of years with like streaming and all that, where people are focused more on the single than the album. But like, because it's been missing, I feel like artists are now going back to that and saying, no, we want to have like one whole cohesive album that's easy to listen to all the way through. And I think, I don't know, I think it's like fans are also kind of starved for it because we haven't had it for so long. So like, it's new to a lot of people who are coming up who may be younger and never really had CDs or tapes or anything like that, where they had to listen to the whole album. But it's cool to hear you guys putting that intent behind it. But I was curious about like the difference between, I guess, your intent historically with making studio stuff and playing live. So like, do you guys have any difference of, I don't know, anything where like you're putting together songs, the energy behind it, how you're playing, where you're in the studio versus in front of an audience?
Right, like different arrangements, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a really good question. That's always one of the hardest things with jam bands, is I think a lot of people try, including ourselves, try to translate the live show into the studio too much, and then the studio songs don't get served in the way that they should be, song first. And you're like, well, it needs, like, how will people know that we rage and that we're like super kick ass, and then I can play these super fast guitar licks or something, So you think it needs to be on the record, and there's ways to find a way to include all that stuff if you're really thoughtful with it. But if you go through our discography, you see it. I mean, the songs get shorter, and so like from the first record, we got some 7, 8, 10-minute songs, and then they get, and you got to hone it in. So we serve the song. Now our whole thing in the studio is we serve the song, and then there's a million ways to make it jam. You can jam any section of a song. We're like a we're such a jam band. Sometimes we don't even like jam on a part of the song. We just like go into a jam that it sounds nothing like the song.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I think some other jam bands do that. Like sometimes like Fish, they got like, I guess it's type 1, people call it, right? Where it's like you're over the chord progressions or whatever. And that's the easy part. I mean, you can always extend a section and solo over it. Right. But I don't know if you need to do that in the studio as much, but there's a million ways to do it. I think to bring in Dripfield, Goose does a wonderful job of getting some of that in there without it being too like I'm just zoned out now. They kind of like fading out outros, like doing like an outro where like the guitar and you hear the beginning parts of a jam and then it just kind of fades out, you know, and like, and you're like, oh wow, that was going somewhere. I'm gonna go check out a live version to get that taste.
Yeah,
because I think that's also another thing is like, this is your only chance to do the song studio. Every other time you do it, there'll be a big old jam. So it's like, if people want a short version, this is their only place to go. They can't go to on Nugs and find your, unless you keep it that way at the show, which we do too. But you get what I'm saying, where it's like, this is your one chance to just concentrate on the songs as a jam band. So just concentrate on the song, and then you can jam the fuck out of it later.
But so to some extent, with those guys still being fresh with the studio, because like Moon Cabin, they did in the studio a very long time ago when they were pretty young, and then Shenanigans had to come together in pieces kind of over the pandemic, where they recorded at their separate houses, some of the stuff, and had a little bit done in the studio, but it had to be pieced together. So Dripfield was the first time, and they had, they hired a pretty well-known indie producer, D. James Goodwin, who we did have on to talk about some of this stuff. And I think he was the one who helped. I think, please go listen to that episode again. Advertising revenue, but it's actually a really good episode, and he talked a lot about that creative process, and I think he helped the guys, hone in on the fact that they didn't want to kind of have jams, too much of them, at least on this album, and they kind of want to reserve that for another album. Still, you got to find a way to do that tightly. But I'm wondering if you guys, who helped produce your album, this album Unzipped that we've been talking about, or did you have anybody who was really just you guys kind of handling it all internally?
I basically was the producer. I produced and mixed and engineered the whole record. I'm pretty into like that stuff. I got really into just like sound and producing music in my own time. I have some like solo records that I've produced, and then just kind of honing my skills, waiting for the opportunity to do Magic Beans, and this was that opportunity, and it's cool. I think it saves us money. I'm definitely, it keeps it internal. I definitely would be into hiring a producer. It's something we've always talked about, and we actually might do for a future release, for the acoustic release. I think in particular could serve from like an outside, because it's so song based. I want to hear an outside perspective on those tunes, and you notice it, like you said, with Goose. I mean, it's cool to see bands get the budget to really get the art they deserve to put out, because you really are hearing a band's budget when you listen to their record. Not to be like frank with people that don't know this, but like you can listen to a band and they could be like, this doesn't sound as good as Dripfield, and it's like, it's not all just that the songs are better. It's like that the mixing, mastering process, the miking of individual instruments, the tone gathering and collection of like a really good producer, Nashville studio, real studio, sound isolation, all that stuff costs like a bunch of money and time and in the studio. So it's super cool to watch bands really get to finally do that. And like, I think that was Goose's Dripfield. I think that's what this album will be known for as they continue to make more music, is like really their first chance to like let the art get the full attention it deserved, Yeah.
No doubt about it.
I think that's a really, really interesting point. Yeah. That's like, because I do think there's this school of thought that it's so much easier to make music now, right? With the advent of technology, right? Like it's at your fingertips. Anyone can get something on Spotify. But like there are so many levels to it. And I think it is a really, really important point, to keep top of mind. But also like, I think that there's something to be said for like a whole lot of know-how. And y'all made some pretty incredible stuff.
Unzipped, it sounds great. I think it sounds really well produced.
It's like both sides, man. It's like, like on one angle, it was like if you've ever watched like old videos of the Grateful Dead when they were producing their records, like the producer was getting in the way.
Yeah,
that can also be
hard. They were hard to work with.
Well, yeah, they were. I would have been like,
exactly.
No, it would have been awesome. But like, So I think that's part of it. Like removing the producer has its own vibe where it's like literally just the boys making this art project, which is pure. And then there's also the vibe of having the know-how of like a smart guy to be like, you guys are green as hell. This is a terrible decision, and I'll show you how to do it right.
Which
and I feel like
Goose even at this point was, pretty.
And I feel like for this album too, like it was beneficial to do it yourself. The way you were talking about the recording process, the writing process, like, yeah, you just need to hit the record button and play. Whereas something that's more song oriented, you want to have that outside perspective to be like, well, it's kind of going in this direction. Let's take it back. Let's bring the song to its core, and let's see if we could bring it anywhere else.
That's a really good point.
Or let's
honestly.
drop all of these pots and pans and kitchen utensils on the ground for Arrow.
Right.
It's percussion,
size,
bro.
I could have played conga. That. It's a saucepan.
I could have played the dropping shit on the ground instrument for sure. That's my musical ability.
Drop field.
That
was bad.
No, that's it, Scott. Welcome to the Great
worse
Beyond.
Than all of the stuff that we say routinely on this show.
You're in. All right, let's do a giveaway here. We've got a signed copy of Magic Beans unzipped vinyl.
Oh, Sam.
And you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a little bit of trivia. So,
oh boy,
although this is a non-Goose podcast, they'll be involved in the question. In the chat, tell me 2 covers that Goose played at Beanstalk Music Festival for your chance to win.
Come on.
Unzipped.
While we wait to see.
Let's talk about this cover some more. Let's talk about the cover. Is that a YKK zipper?
YKK on your zipper.
YKK on your zipper. That's right. You already know.
I do. This cover art that he came up with is excellent. It's really excellent.
Yeah, I'm curious. Did the cover come first or did the name?
Ooh, that's a good question. And there is a story to it. The cover came first, which is something we've never done before. He actually just bought the zipper as just a part of another collage idea that he sent me for the record. And I was like, I love it. I love the bold red. I think it's commanding. I think it should be against a black background. And then I think it should be opening up with like all these different things coming out of it. And he went with it and did his own magic to it. And then I changed the name of the record to Unzipped. I forget what we were going to call it. It was going to have a super cool name, but this one's even better.
Gosh. All right. So just people in the chat here. There is at least one correct answer. Oh, there it is. Ron Adelberg.
Hey.
Hey, Ron. The one and only Ron Adelberg. Sorry, Dave beat you to the draw. Sorry, Jess beat you to the draw. What Willie thinks, I don't know if you were just guessing covers, but you almost got it. Ron Adelberg, we've got your address. We are going to send you a signed copy of Unzipped by Magic Beans. So dust off that vinyl player, Ron. And big ups to Ron. Grateful Music LLC, photographer extraordinaire, longtime friend of the band, the podcast, and everybody in the scene. Always greets you with a smile and a camera. I'm sorry that I was being so weird on Sunday at Peach, Ron. So anyway,
must have been the CBD.
That CBD is potent, and definitely people need to drink water.
It was that CBD at 1,000 feet altitude really got me. So Magic Beans Beyond Unzipped, which has been unleashed on the world. Also, Scott, good news, just got playlisted. Just saw an email come through. A little lo-fi hip-hop playlist, no big deal. Magic Beans Beyond Unzipped. Got a little hot bean summer coming up. So
we touring, baby.
Touring hard. So New Mexico this week.
New Mexico this weekend,
Durango?
little Durango, little enchanted circle. That's what they call that area. It's got vibes. It's got green chili.
Nice.
I love green chili.
It's great.
Vibes are cool, but green chilies.
Take the cake.
Yeah.
So we got that Frisco, Colorado next week, 10 Mile Music Hall patio. A little twofer.
We got
July
2-nighter
22nd.
Frisco, 2-nighter in Steamboat.
Steamboat. Shout
We're
out
kind of
to
all
Reagan.
about the multiple night runs. I was telling you about it,
Yeah.
Greg, I think, but we're moving in that direction. Our whole fall tour is going to be based around some multiple night runs in some of our favorite cities. And
Awesome.
like when I got into jam bands, that's how it was, bro. Like we would go see Railroader 3 nights, Humphreys 3 nights. Like it was about the multiple night. And now I feel like people like they're trying to they want to go in the bigger venues, so they stack the bill right. And now you're only seeing one set of these bands as they got like a bunch of support, which is cool too. But it's like, we just want to play several nights of music.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know
Absolutely.
as a fan, that's what I always said to our buddy John Lombardi, who's been working with the band for a long time, but it was like around, 2016, 17. And he finally picked up a manager, Matt Kalinsky, towards the end of 17 or halfway through that really helped get them into more places and stuff. But I was like, once they have these 2-night runs, like it's not as easy to travel to these 1-night runs either. So, and it's more comfortable for the band too. You guys can get in the pocket. You don't have to like just rush around, and trying to get ready and trying to get out of a venue. So it's like
save that gas. That's a big part of it.
I definitely say that, but I love it. I'm all about the 2-night runs. I think it's easier for fans too to get to. So I feel like it's almost a better opportunity for everyone as well. But I guess
the music is way cooler, man, when you're just like posted up and
and
like you said, if you're gonna travel an hour for a show, you much rather get like a hotel room for the night or two and like make a journey out of it as opposed to just for one show.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and even as an audience member, I always explain it as like if there's a 2-night, 3-night run, like it's kind of like going to a show and leaving at set break. Like if you're just gonna go to one night and not go to the other nights, then like what'd you go to the one night for? Like if you're not doing anything, might as well just go to all 3. So we appreciate it.
I constantly buy tickets to multi-night runs, just expecting myself to buy more tickets at the show.
Yeah.
Like,
it always
I'll
happens.
do it at the show. I just did Humphreys and I saw one night and I was like, I just bought my ticket for the other night at the show.
I guess I'm going tomorrow.
Yeah. So I mean, we've I don't know. I guess the older I get, though, the more trouble I have with multi-night runs, no matter where they are. But that's a me thing. Magic Beans heading back east. Trout Stock, Women's Hollow, August 5th. Bears Picnic, Blaine, PA, August 6th. Firelights, Edinburgh, PA, August 12th. Jam-packed Richmond, August 13th. And I just wanted to mention this, so I decided to read all of them. Dillon Amphitheater, August 27th, Dillon, Colorado. I am so stoked to get out to Dillon to see that spot. But a Colorado heavy lineup right at Dillon. Is it y'all, the Motet, and Eminence?
Yes, sir.
Ah, nice, man.
Stacked up. That venue's
really
definitely
good.
beautiful. Our drummer's first gig with the band 7 or 8 years ago was at that venue. So
Oh wow.
Really?
So
Wow.
can you tell me a little bit about the differences? Because did they do any construction, or like it used to be a free venue? Is that right? Like someone was telling me about it.
yeah, it was definitely beautiful still, but it was more of like a free pavilion in the park where they were doing, fireworks with like orchestra and like early Magic Beans, paying us couple $100 to come play a free show for whoever wanted to come down. Stuff. And then they revamped it and spent a bunch of money. Gorgeous, kind of turned it into more of a destination spot. Got AEG, which is a big music promoter out here, to start booking. And it went from, just like local shows now. I mean, to huge bands coming through there now. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's gonna be awesome.
It's freaking gorgeous, guys. You're gonna love it.
Looks gorgeous. Yeah, I'm also so excited just to be out there and see that venue. And
there's gonna be geese flying around. I guarantee you.
I did. Yeah.
Some timely cheers from the audience. It's gonna confuse
on the
soundboard
fan
listeners.
It's perfect.
And with Eminence Ensemble too, we're friends of the podcast.
Friends of the pod. Yeah,
They played
Those
too.
kids were
They
great,
played
too.
some Steely Dan as well.
Yeah. Greg sat in with them, but not
I
Magic
did.
Beans yet. So
Yeah, that's right. We've got to get these Magic Beans to come east, which hopefully we'll hear some more about. Some fall stuff. And hopefully we can see you in person. Bruce is ready to heckle the Magic Beans.
Absolutely.
So
I'm so glad that Scott is looking forward to that. It's like
bring your acoustics because Bruce is ready to go. Yeah.
You let me know what show you're coming to. We'll do a whole acoustic set.
Oh, God.
You can just talk over the whole thing.
I love it.
The next album debut. Yeah, I love that's perfect. No.
Yes. We have Chomper's Corner, the new album. So Scott, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you about all things music. We are so stoked about Unzipped. Congratulations to Ron for winning a copy of the vinyl. But head over to Magic Bean socials to get your own copy of the vinyl. Only less than 100 are left.
Yeah.
So these things are flying off the shelves.
Nice.
And I don't know. I feel like I had something else to say, but I'll let Bruce close it out today.
No, that's a bad idea.
I'll let Joey
Scott,
close it out.
Anybody?
I mean, so Scott, I usually do this whole sign off when we do a studio episode, and we were supposed to do a studio episode, but that didn't happen. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Hey.
Yeah. And we'll see you at the next Magic Bean show.
Yeah,
there you go. Everyone,
thanks
take care of yourselves. You can't take care of other people unless you take care of yourselves. So nothing selfish about taking care of your own health and your well-being, mental state. So make sure you're doing that. And then it'll all go outward from there.
Scott, you want to be on a podcast full time?
That's what I've been doing wrong, dude. This is why
I'm having a blast. I can't wait till you guys invite me back. I'm coming. I'm gonna release another record next week just to
get it out.
Back.
Let's do it. Yeah,
excellent. Let's go. This is one of our best podcasts.
We're running out of guests, so yeah.
Good. Former friends of the podcast. Lots of them. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Scott.